It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Thank you for joining us. It is 11/3/11, the third day of November 2011 on this Thursday transmission. And we are going to now broadcast for 27 hours. I will be here for, I think, comes out to about 18 of those hours. We'll take a nap for about 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night, but Aaron Dykes will be live. Paul Watson will be live. And we have an incredible lineup of guests. This is our second annual 24-hour plus transmission. It was actually Jaron's idea last year, and obviously we are having our fourth annual Money Bomb, and I'm going to break down briefly coming up at the start of the next segment who's coming up in the next 27 hours and exactly why we're having a Money Bomb to try to fund the expansion of this operation, obviously, and what your previous support has gone towards predominantly. Also, we are going to be premiering the second part of the Charlotte Iserby interview. The first part blew people away, getting into education. The second part is Skull and Bones being exposed, and so that is coming up in the lineup as well. There is just so much that we're going to be doing here in the next 24-plus hours today into Friday. And, of course, I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning after going to bed at about midnight and then couldn't go back to sleep till about 7 for some reason. And I usually am a good sleeper. And then I slept till about 9, hung out with my children some, and barely got here on time. So that's why you never see me up here with my hair still wet. I tend to wake up, eat breakfast, hang out with the family, and then take a shower. I'm certainly just now jumping in the saddle, and I guess that's good in a way because I was just going to stay up once I got up at 4, and I was like, no, I better try to go back to sleep. I'm about to be up here for most of a day. It's really easy to do this compared to what's the record filibuster? It's from Texas in the legislature over 2 days. Can't sit down, can't go to the bathroom, and can't eat, and have to continually talk and cannot lean on anything. People are like, wow, you're going to broadcast 18 hours out of 27. Or I guess more than that, because I'm going to do 2 hours of the 3-hour show on Friday. I haven't done the math, so I guess it's more like 20 hours. That is a piece of cake. Now, where it gets tedious, though, is taking the calls, talking to the interesting guest, because I won't just be up here muttering like a lot of filibusters do. I've got to really be thinking, and I'm intrigued, just like the audience is, on all the guests. So I'm listening, I'm thinking, and that's actually what's really, really tiring about it, is going over all the news. Boy, it is wild. I've got like 10 articles here, mainstream news, where, and of course, yesterday you saw Sky Television, London Guardian, Israel set to hit Iran. Netanyahu goes before the cabinet. He says he's getting ready to hit them. I don't know if they're going to attack. All I know is troops are massing in Kuwait. I've talked to a bunch of military on and off record who say the word they've got is Israel is going to strike. And they're set in the next few weeks to load that reactor. Now, what I said, some of my folks said it could happen anytime in the next 2 weeks. And by that, I mean 2 weeks out. It could happen anytime 2 weeks out. I think I said it could happen today. It could happen 2 weeks from now. It could happen a month from now. But this next 2 week period, they're getting ready to green light this thing. And they basically have green lighted it in Israel. And the U.S. is just standing by. But the reason it didn't basically already happen is that whole hoax concerning the Iranian used car salesman in South Texas wanting to attack this Saudi ambassador and bomb him at the embassy did turn out to be completely phony as a $3 bill. But still, we've got to talk about what this signifies. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. It is Thursday, 11/3/11. It is the third day of November, 2011. We're going to be live here for the next 27 hours. That's right. I will do at least 20 hours live here on air, but we also have Paul Watson sitting in for a few hours in the early morning hours. We have Aaron Dykes sitting in. We're going to premiere Skull and Bones expose with one of the only witnesses out there. We are going to have quite a transmission lined up for you. This is our second annual 27-hour transmission. Hour number one, I'm going to cover the news. Then we have historian and geopolitical researcher Joel Skousen joining us in the second hour to talk about Iran, the election, and so much more. Webster Griffin Tarpley will join us in the third hour. Catherine Albrecht, Dr. Catherine Albrecht will be joining us to talk about all of these announcements to censor the internet, to restrict free speech, and this panopticon of research control grid the government's put in place. Of course, the #2 talk show host in the world, George Norrie, will be joining us, host of Coast to Coast AM. David Icke will then be joining us coming up. So that's from 4 to 5:30. Then at 6 o'clock, we've got Mike Adams sitting in for my first break from 6 to 8 o'clock. Then I return. Alfred Adask will be joining us. And Mike Adams has got a bunch of guests lined up as well. When he's on, he'll be in studio. We appreciate him doing that. Tex Mars is going to be popping in with us as well at 10 o'clock tonight. That should be always interesting and informative. We've also have Mr. Corbett of the Corbett Report, always informative and interesting as well, is going to be joining us. Fritz Springmeier, fresh out of prison, now first breaking his silence here after being shut up for bank robbery. The author will be joining us coming up at 1 a.m. Central. All these times are Central. And then, of course, we also then have Aaron Dykes from 2 to 4, and he's got some guests and a bunch of premiere videos he's going to be playing. Paul Watson is going to be on from 4 to 6, and he's got a bunch of guests coming on with him and breaking news. Richard Reeves from 6 to 7. And then in here somewhere, I know we're scheduled to air the Charlotte Iserby. The guys are like, well, we've got never before seen Nick Begich. We've got the Charlotte Iserby. They've kind of overdone it, and I think I'm going to select we air the Iserby because that's what people want to see. Begich is great as well. We can just put that up on prisonplanet.tv or premiere it on the news, nightly news or something. Gerald Salente then joins us at 8 a.m. Central. Then we're working on Alan Watt, Jim Mars, and, of course, Bob Chapman. And I guess only one of these has question marks, and that's Alan Watt, but that'll probably come through. So that's the only question mark on here. So, wow, what a lineup that we have. Great job to the crew getting this together, because these are incredible times that we live in. And unfortunately, our political analysis has been spot on. It's unfortunate in that we were right, because this is scary stuff. It's horrible. It's disgusting. It's dangerous. I would rather reality be different. We have a tyrannical, maniacal, eugenics-based, anti-human, anti-life culture and system and college and association and society of psychopathic control freaks who are protected by a bunch of well-meaning idiots, compartmentalized fools, useful idiots, but also sociopaths, mercenaries, control freaks, scum, sadists, and others. And they are weaving a web, like a spider weaves a web, of control. The same web that tyrants and control freaks have woven throughout history, but now so much more disgusting and filthy, and the numbers of killed are much higher because the population is larger, and there's a technological overlay, there's a psychotronic overlay, a chemical overlay, a spiritual overlay, a psychological warfare overlay, from the flicker rates with the TVs to the sodium fluoride in the water and the Prozac in the water, and that's basically what fluoride is, as Ventura pointed out yesterday. I mean, it's just wild. Tyrants have always tried to fully dominate, and they've always failed. And they hate the fact that they can't turn us into slaves, biological androids. They don't want us to have free will. Now, we got a lot of interesting news. The White House is being subpoenaed, as you know. over just legalizing illegal aliens, including felons, and not even deporting felons now. They're also being subpoenaed over the different energy companies that they publicly gave hundreds of millions, in some cases billions of dollars. It's billions in total, but 500+ million, to one of the main companies that is made up of his campaign contributors. They never basically built anything. It was just a complete scam. And why would they commit crimes of this magnitude? Because they know the rest of the government at the top is so corrupt that if anybody tries to actually bust them, they'll just rat them out for all the other issues. This is the corruption factor once it gets to a certain point. They also hold the rest of the system hostage because Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and others control the derivatives. They control the Social Security. They run it all. They're now taking over the internet as we know it. They're now taking over free speech as we know it. This is a group of conscious criminals who have been told they can do whatever they want by their masters. And if the Republicans get uppity about Fast and Furious, they'll just expose government shipments of guns under Bush to Mexico and narcotics shipped in that are already in federal court, and the feds have admitted it's true, and we've covered it. El Paso Times, Chicago Tribune. It is a group of absolute criminals blackmailing each other, and so when you reach that point, the sky is the limit. I saw a cop car last night on 290 pushing... because they've got that little metal bumper, which is useful, pushing, I slowed down to even make sure I was seeing what I was seeing, pushing some old man with a broke-down pickup truck, looked like a pickup truck from the 60s, up the ramp, up out of the highway. Not calling a bunch of city trucks, not getting 20 bureaucrats out there to shut down the highway, pushing somebody's car up the ramp, up the road to the gas station at the top of the hill. I actually see police now more than I've seen in years. I used to see this all the time when I was a child, changing people's tires, helping them. Look, I know the average police officer is not a bad person, but I also know the system is trying to hire bad people, trying to train them to be corrupt, trying to train them that it's tough guy to violate people's rights. In fact, I have an article right here. This is out of the Sacramento Bee. That's the major paper of Sacramento. If you guys give me a document cam shot, I'll show people this for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. But this is up on Infowars.com now. Controversial T-shirt puts Twin Rivers Police Department in the spotlight, and it shows what looks like a 5-year-old child, almost toddler-like, maybe 4 or 5-year-old little boy, looking out from a grimy prison cell with grimy bars, and it says, "You raise them, we cage them." This T-shirt designed by the Twin Rivers Police Officers Association, and it just shows the sick attitude. I've heard the police radio transmissions that have made the news across the country where they talk about hunting people, and where they talk about all this, and it's this dehumanizing attitude. What police do to the rest of the public ends up coming back on them. It's like this retired police officer owns this big Trudy's down on Congress, and the city tried to shut it down. Gave him the permit to build the $150,000 giant deck, then said we're revoking it after it was built, and tried to harass him out of business, and then tried to send cops in to do stuff to him once they were suing him. My lawyer's the lawyer that sued him, Eric Taub, and won, by the way, and now Tab has city people basically making little snide comments and little veiled comments to him. But that came back on you. This schizophrenic guy who it later came out on the videos, they're in a suburb of L.A., didn't do anything to the police. They beat him to death and would do knee drops on his head over and over again for more than 10 minutes. You can kill somebody with one of those. They killed him, then tried to cover it up. Now the police did charge one of the cops with murder. One of them murder, too. The other just basic murder. The point is that they're selling you on macho-ness and on corruption and that it's tough and cool. It's not cool. It's not cool. With great power comes great responsibility. It's honorable to be a servant. It's you for joining us. It is 11/3/11, the third day of November 2011 on this Thursday transmission. And we are going to now broadcast for 27 hours. I will be here for, I think, comes out to about 18 of those hours. We'll take a nap. It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Thank first part blew people away, getting into education. The second part is skull and bones being exposed. And so that is coming up in the lineup as well. There is just so much that we're going to be doing here in the next 24-plus hours today into Friday. And up at the start of the next segment, who's coming up in the next 27 hours, and exactly why we're having a money bomb to try to fund the expansion of this operation, obviously, and what your previous support has gone towards predominantly. Also, we are going to be premiering the second part of the Charlotte Iserby interview for about 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night. But Aaron Dykes will be live. Paul Watson will be live. And we have an incredible lineup of guests. This is our second annual 24-hour-plus transmission. It was actually Jaron's idea last year. And obviously, we are having our fourth annual Money Bomb. And I'm going to break down briefly coming